All right. So what we're going to be looking at today are called. Stupid pen wouldn't work. Come on. So we're going to be looking at trig functions today. So trig functions are all relationships between the sides of triangles.
No, they're not.
So people way smarter than me have figured out how different sides of a right triangle, how they relate to each other.
No.
So if I'm going to look at a right triangle, and we have one angle other than 90, and we have one side. So if we have one side, we have an angle other than 90, we can find the other sides using trig functions. So the sine of angle A, that angle is what I have. So for example, if I have this angle right here, the sine of angle A is going to equal the same thing as if I took the opposite from angle A, if I took that opposite side, which is A, and divided it by my hypotenuse. Whatever that is going to equal the sine of A. Or the cosine of A is going to be the adjacent, which is right next to angle A but not hypotenuse. This side right here is my adjacent, which I usually abbreviate like that. This side is my opposite, so I got to go to the opposite side of my triangle. If I take adjacent divided by hypotenuse, that equals the cosine of A. And then if I want to find the tangent of A, it equals opposite over adjacent. So I'm just kind of throwing these at you right now. We're going to see how these work in a minute. But what I want you to remember, the big thing to remember is sine equals opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine equals adjacent over hypotenuse. And tangent equals opposite over adjacent. So these three relationships are really important. I know we haven't done anything with them yet, but they're really important. So an easy way to remember these relationships is with an acronym, SOHCAHTOA.
No way I can remember that. You just ripped an acronym.
SOHCAHTOA. So this is an acronym to help us remember these three things. So
is this Chinese?
no, actually,
Japanese.
when I was in college, somebody used this acronym, and they kind of made. I don't really remember it very well, but they kind of made like a racist story about Native Americans.
What?
Ah!
Yeah.
You
it was
just let
weird.
that happen, Goki?
It was weird. He was a teacher.
You just let that happen?
It was like, it was something about these, I don't know, people were in a battle and this great Native American chief was like SOHCAHTOA.
Oh,
It was weird.
I get it.
I
I
don't really
get
remember it.
it. I have to go home.
So,
that's
we're
cool.
not going to remember the racist part, we're just going to remember the acronym.
I can remember that for
SOHCAHTOA.
racism. Thank you. Thank you. Now I can remember that. I'm a racist person. That's how I
Remember
remember.
my racist professor from college. Yeah.
I am racist.
Alright, so this acronym, and what it stands for is the
I'm not
sign,
gay.
which
I'm
when
like
we talk
fun.
about sign, we abbreviate it as SIN.
Sin?
Pronounced sign.
Sin.
It looks like sin, it's pronounced sign.
Sin.
And it's
If
going
it's sign,
to
it'll be a
equal
G.
the opposite divided by the hypotenuse. What? Okay.
School? No.
Alright, so that is what the SOH is for. The sine equals opposite divided by hypotenuse.
Sin equals
The
off
cosine,
height.
which we abbreviate as COS, stands for cosine. It equals the adjacent divided by hypotenuse. And tangent, we abbreviate as TAN.
This is dumb.
Tan.
It's going to equal, oh, I got my divide sign right there. It's going to equal opposite divided by adjacent.
What's the A in the second one?
Adjacent.
You're going a little quick.
Yeah,
I
know.
can't go this
I'm
fast.
throwing these at you, I know, and we're going to use them in a minute.
Sin
You'll-
equals off height.
What's
I know,
tan?
it's kind of
I don't even know what tan is.
stands for tangent.
What's tangent?
You'll find out. It's a relationship between triangles.
Can you tell us the racist joke?
I don't remember it.
Come
It was
on.
like a racist
No,
story.
you do. You just don't.
It was
know.
like some racist story about the great Indian chief SOHCAHTOA and how he won this battle by knowing triangles. It was weird.
Oh, I
You
know
know
that.
it.
I know that story. Yeah, okay, I'll keep going.
Tell it then,
I'm
right?
not gonna tell it.
You said you're not.
I know, I just don't want to tell it.
You're lying.
So
It's too
yeah,
racist.
it wasn't like super racist, but it was.
It's not. It's just, keep going.
All right,
Keep
we
going.
got this down.
Keep going.
Oh shoot!
Oh no, keep going.
You picking my stuff, Bodie?
No.
Okay,
No, just keep going.
so we're gonna start off just by labeling opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse.
I
So,
hate this.
what is important about these three things, opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse, in my triangle, is that opposite and adjacent depend on the angle I start. If I'm going to start at angle A, and I'm going to label my opposite, my adjacent, and my hypotenuse, it depends on A. So, my opposite from angle A means I have to go all the way to the opposite side of the triangle. And I get 6. That is the side of 6. So opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse are always sides. My adjacent is right next to the angle,
X.
but it's not my hypotenuse. So my adjacent is going to be X.
Hold it.
Because it's right next to A, but it's not hypotenuse.
Wait,
Hypotenuse is always the
wait.
same, my longest side.
And then your height
Wait.
is 7.
What?
Right?
Yep.
What?
Ooh.
what's- Oh, okay. Never
Ooh.
mind. Got it. Got it.
Hold it. Angle B. Okay, this will be fun.
So from angle A, my opposite is 6, because I go to the opposite side. My adjacent is X, because it's right next to it, but not hypotenuse. Hypotenuse is 7. And let's do the next one together. We're not going to use this in class. Okay, if I'm going to look at from angle B, if I'm going to do my opposite, adjacent,
Is the hypotenuse gonna be the same every
it's
time?
always going to be the same. Yeah. Hypotenuse is always the same. It's always 7, right?
Yeah.
Because hypotenuse is just my longest side. But opposite and adjacent have to do with where you start. If I'm going to start at angle B, what's my opposite now?
X.
It's X, because I got to go to the opposite side of the triangle to get there. And my adjacent is right next to it, but not hypotenuse, which makes it 6. So you got to make sure you know where you're starting from, to do opposite, adjacent, and
Okay.
hypotenuse.
Okay.
That's what this works.
All right. Got these down? Kind of a lot of
Sounds
writing.
ugly saying
Got these
that.
down, Connor?
Go ahead, keep going.
There's a pencil underneath the desk behind you if you need one. We'll get you caught up in a few minutes. Alright, so we're going to write the 3 trig ratios. What?
What's right here? What's trig?
The sine, cosine, tangent. Well, trig has to do with triangles.
Trigonometry.
Yeah. Trigonometry is math with triangles.
Okay.
So these are the 3 trig ratios.
So
of
we've been
algebra.
doing kind of a lot of trigonometry.
Yeah, we've had a lot of it involved in here.
What is this?
Alright, so we're going to write the 3 trig ratios. And to do that, I am going to put my acronym, my SOHCAHTOA.
Sokotoa.
So,
Chief Sokotoa.
Ryan?
Chief Sokotoa.
You're just making it weird down
You
there.
don't even know the story, dude.
I don't. Anyway.
Alright,
What was
so
that?
I'm going to write down the ratio for the sine of angle T. So angle T is right here, right?
Right.
So before I even get started, what I really like to do is label what is what. So I know 17 is going to be my hypotenuse, right?
No.
What's going to be opposite from angle T?
15.
Oh,
8. 8.
Opposite. I thought you said adjacent.
And then adjacent is my last one, 15. Right? Okay. So the sine of angle T, if I look at my acronym, it is going to equal, sine is going to equal opposite divided by hypotenuse.
But just
I have to pee so
Eight.
My opposite is 8 over my hypotenuse, which is 17. So if I were to divide 8 over 17, that would equal the sine of angle T.
Wait, I'm confused.
What exactly is sine?
It's hard to explain. It's just, they figured out how to
Explain.
calculate ratios. So if you actually plug in sine of something in your calculator, it will equal a decimal, which we're going to look at here in a few minutes.
Wait. How
We're
do
looking at
how do
a
you
few
know which one's 8, which one's 17? Oh, you know this
Oh,
period. How do you know that those 2 are the ones that go with that one?
Because other people have figured it out. So sine always goes with opposite and hypotenuse. Cosine always goes with adjacent and hypotenuse.
You go to the
Tangent
100
always
or
goes with
1,000?
opposite and adjacent. We'll talk about it. We're not actually going to plug them in. We're just going to leave them as fractions right now.
Oh,
okay.
So we're not actually going to plug these into Desmos or anything yet. We're just going to leave them like this. All
Are
we're
we
doing
going
is
to have
practicing
to-
writing what is what. Okay. Cosine of angle T. Cosine is going to be adjacent over hypotenuse.
Adjacent over.
Mhm.
So
So my
15 over
adjacent
17?
is 15
over 17.
over my hypotenuse, which is 17.
The next
So
one
if
is
I were to
17 over 15.
do 15 divided by 17, that would equal the cosine from angle T.
No, it doesn't.
And then the last one, tangent
17 over
of T
15.
is going to equal opposite over adjacent.
So 17 over 15.
Opposite.
Oh, 8, yeah, 8.
Eight over
15, yeah, thank you.
is going to equal 8 over 15. Alright, the first one that you guys are going to do now, or your first in-class problem here, you're going to write these same 3 trig ratios, but you're going to write it from angle G.
No.
So let's look at this. If we're going to write it from angle G, what's my opposite now?
15.
15. So let me cross this out. That's my new opposite, so I'm starting from angle G, which means 8 is my new adjacent. So I want you to write the 3 trig ratios over here on the side. And I know this is still kind of weird still. You're going to see how it works here in just a minute.
Oh, my brain.
Learning.
My brain is hurting.
Then it's learning. My brain isn't.
I
It
got
feels
too much
smushed.
sleep.
You have too much sleep? Is that what you said?
She got 14 hours of sleep.
So you should be nice and fresh and ready.
No, if you sleep too much, then you're just like.
I don't know. I can't really sleep very much past like 8 or 9 hours.
Wow.
I can sleep for a whole day. I sleep. Yes.
Come on, I cannot.
I can't
I'm
sleep.
like a
I go for
bear.
an hour and I'll just go back to sleep.
Yeah, I can't do that.
After I eat.
Okay, can I do 100? I know what.
Maybe you'll get lucky and I'll call
I'm
on you.
glad you
Oh,
know
cool.
it.
I was right. Yay.
Okay, wait. Sine, hypotenuse. Oh, okay.
Can we go in the nature walk?
No.
Yeah, please.
I go bungee jumping. Skydiving.
Where would you
with,
bungee
Where
jump
are all
from?
this
I
tired?
don't have anything tall.
I'll
Mr.
find somewhere
Branson's
tall.
class made me so tired.
I go bungee jumping without a bungee.
I fell asleep.
No, that's smart.
Yeah, see, I'm gonna like just jump real quick.
Yeah, just a jump
How
over.
could you fall
I'm gonna jump off the last stair back over here.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Really, Trista?
All right, so let's go over the first one.
I like that movie.
On this one, for the sine of G,
Ooh.
what's it going to equal, Joseph?
Oh, Josephine.
Joseph.
Bean.
15 divided by 17.
Opposite over hypotenuse, 15 over 17.
Josephine.
All right, for the cosine of G, what do you get? Juana. What's cosine of G?
8 over 17?
And then the last one, tangent of G, what do you get? No one just have to ask. Chloe.
8 over 17? I don't know, honestly.
15 over 8?
Okay, so look at your acronym.
Over 8.
The TOA. Tangent equals opposite over adjacent.
15
Over?
8.
Over 8.
Oh, that's why mine was messed up, because I have an H right there instead of an A.
Yeah, that'll do it. Alright, so we're practice setting up the acronym. We're actually going to go through and solve it next, I believe.
Solve it.
Alright, we're going to find x and y. So, if I were to do this before, can I use Pythagorean theorem on this?
No.
Can I do my 45, 45, 90 or 30, 60,
No.
90 rules? Nope, because I got an angle 50 right here. So, we're going to use trig functions, SOHCAHTOA. So I'm going to write my acronym, SOHCAHTOA.
I can actually see someone with actual damage.
Alright, so I'm starting here from angle 50, and I'm going to label my sides. So what is this angle 5, or side 5 up here?
5.
The hypotenuse.
Oh man, I think that was my phone actually. I better fix this.
Loki.
Oh man, I didn't silence it. Here we
Somebody
go.
take it away.
That was a close one.
Hell
Alright,
yeah, sure.
What is angle, or I keep saying angle, I mean side. What is side Y? Yep, my opposite. Gotta go all the way to the opposite. Alright, what's X?
Adjacent.
Okay. So, I'm gonna find, let's start with X. So, when I need to pick which of these 3 things I'm gonna use. And to do that, I'm gonna say, I wanna find X, right? My adjacent. Which side actually has a number?
Hype.
Hypotenuse. What uses adjacent and hypotenuse?
CAH.
Mark cosine here. So I'm going to start by doing cosine. So when I write this down, I'm going to go cosine, and when I write it down, I need to put my actual number for my angle. My angle is 50, right? Cosine of 50 is going to equal x divided by, because x is my adjacent, my hypotenuse, which is 5. Alright. Cosine of 50,
Ooh, dude,
we can plug
times
into
5?
decimals. We are going to times 5 in a minute. So, first, cosine of 50, we can actually plug it right into decimals. So you guys have maybe seen these buttons before. But we can't really see them right away. We have to go click on functions,
Cosine.
and then they're right here. Sine, cosine, tangent. We are actually not going to learn all these others, but we could. So we're learning sine, cosine, tangent, right?
Yeah.
There's actually, that's cosecant, secant, cotangent, inverse sine, inverse cosine, inverse tangent, inverse cosecant.
Okay, stop.
Have you learned all these?
I don't
Loki,
remember
you're
these
making
ones.
my brain hurt.
I don't remember these ones, but yeah, I've done these. All
Go
these
ahead,
right
keep
here.
going, keep going, keep going.
Alright. Oh yeah, these are for hyperbolas, which we might get to. Alright, anyway. So we're going to start with cosine of 50. So I'm going to click this functions, I'm going to go cosine, and then I'm just going to type in 50. Yay. Cosine of 50 is 0.964. It's almost always a decimal.
Or 1.
Almost always.
6.
There is basically only one time you don't get a decimal.
What is that? What number is it?
I
0.
don't know, guess.
0.
Oh yeah, sometimes 0. That's 1. So cosine of 0.
It don't equals 1.
Yeah, cosine of 0 is actually 1. Anybody else have a guess? Just feeling curious.
1.
Anyone get it?
1 does not
Negative
work.
No.
Negative.
100.
No.
Nope.
2.
50.
What's a number very important in
36.
geometry? What do we talk about?
3.16.
3.
Let's try pi.
3.14. Nope, that one doesn't work. 1.
So,
Negative
one.
0,
Damn.
0 and pi, or like 2 times pi or 3 times pi are the only times you don't get decimals. Because it's really, the cosine, sine, and tangent, even though they're about triangles, they're also really related to circles, which we're not really going to get into. But
Damn.
maybe. Alright, anyway. So cosine of 50, it's just a decimal. And I get 0.9649, big huge decimal, right?
Right.
Well, let's make this easy. This is a decimal, right?
Right.
If I'm going to solve this for x, what would I have to do?
Times it by 5.
Times it by 5, right? So I'm going to times by 5. And I can treat this just like a decimal, like 5 times that point, what was it, 9? Or whatever that was.
Yeah.
But let's make it really, really accurate and make it easy. I'm just going to go back in here to Desmos and go times 5. And I get 4.82. So x is going to equal 4.82. So the side of this triangle right here is 4.82.
Wow.
Not too bad. After you do these, they get pretty easy. So we got that one done. Let's find y. So y,
Oh, y equals the same thing?
Wow.
Oh, because
so y is over here. What side is y on?
opposite.
Opposite, right? And where do we have numbers?
Adjacent and height.
We do have them both now, but let's use hypotenuse because there's no decimals, right? So let's just use that because it's nicer. So what uses opposite and hypotenuse?
So,
Yep, which stands for sine.
sin.
So we're going to set it up basically the same way, except I'm going to go sine of 50 is going to equal the opposite, which is y, divided by hypotenuse, which is 5. And I'm going to plug in sine of 50 this time. And it's going to be a little different, because sine, cosine, and tangent, even if you plug in the same number, you get different things out of them. Let me go down here and go to my functions and get sine. Let me hit the button. Sine of 50, and this time around, last time it was like
Negative.
0.9,
Wow.
this time it's negative 0.26.
Dang.
A little different.
Mm.
Alright.
Wait, I can't want that fast. Please stop, please. Please slow down.
Alright, fine. I'll wait.
I'm done. Keep going.
I'm gonna start
After
playing the
she's
Jeopardy
catch up.
song. No, that doesn't mean you all sing it. It was a joke. Stop.
It's no
Okay,
joke.
I'm done now.
I take no jokes.
Alright, so we get this. It's just the decimal.
Times 5.
Negative 0.26. And just
Times
like last time, to get the y by itself, I got to times by 5, times by 5. And so let's make it easy on ourselves and
Negative
just go into Desmos and
9,
go
4, 9, 7.
times 5. Make sure you do times 5 outside parentheses though. If you do it on the inside, it's going to be wrong.
Yeah.
And we're going to get a negative. Man. Can we have a negative side length? Side length?
Yeah.
No, because I'm bad at making these examples. So negative point. Negative 1.31. Whoops. gonna have to fix this.
So you can't have negatives.
Like
No, you
usual.
can't have a negative side length. This is wrong because I'm bad at doing these.
What if there's
Why was it a negative?
Okay, so really, what this is saying is that your triangle doesn't look like this.
wait.
It should be more like over here somewhere.
Huh.
And you don't have a 50, that should be a different degrees, so this is a triangle. Actually, what this shape is, so it's like here, here, and then it's going to be like that. Yeah, I'm bad at making my examples, which is why I copy so much from the book. But that's okay, we did the process right.
Sort of.
The process is
Your
right.
handwriting is so
Sorta.
much better when you do it on the board. Just
No. Alright. Do you talk to people in China?
I think the class is clear.
Kind of distracting his class.
No, Kwana, Friday school tomorrow. Bart,
Shut up.
Friday.
Shut up. He's so annoying.
You start Alright, so let's keep doing one more. Alright, so I'm gonna write down my acronym. Alright, so I got my angle 40 is right here. So what is X? What side is that? Adjacent.
40.
Alright, what's 6?
Height. No, up. Then height. Then height. Then height. And then height.
Yeah,
hypotenuse.
Height.
No.
Alright,
Weird.
so do you want to
Crazy.
solve for X or Y first?
Please.
X.
X.
Alright, we'll solve for X first. Alright, so X is adjacent. And which side has an actual number on it right now?
Up.
So
So
that
TOH.
Opposite, right?
Toe.
So what uses
Toe.
adjacent and opposite?
Toe.
Toe.
Our tangent
Toe.
right
Toe.
here.
Toe.
Toe.
We're gonna use
Toe.
our
Toe.
calm
Toe.
down,
Toe.
Ryan.
Toe.
Calm
Toe.
down.
Toe.
This is -2.
I said toe.
Find out.
This is
Alright,
your fault.
so we're gonna go tangent of 40. That's gonna equal my opposite of which is 6 over adjacent, which is X. Alright, and this one is gonna be a little weird first.
Oh no, I don't remember how to do this. Is it
How do we
still
get this
times-
X by itself?
Times X?
Oh,
wait,
yes.
no,
Yes,
no,
actually, you're right.
no.
We are gonna times by X.
Ooh, we do?
We are
Ooh,
times by X.
wow.
Okay, because is this X divided by 6 or 6 divided by X?
6 divided by X.
So how do we get rid of a divide by X?
Times it X.
Times by X,
itself.
right?
Yeah.
So I'm actually gonna show you the long way, then I'm gonna show you the shortcut.
Okay.
Okay, what way do you want us to do it? What you talking about, Willis?
Whatever way you want. But I'm gonna show you this. I want you to see the long way first before, so you can understand the
So
short.
don't write anything.
Then X would be
down,
1.
If you want to, you can.
X would be
Something
1.
like that. Sure, okay.
Oh.
So I'm gonna times by X on both sides. I'm gonna get X times tangent 40 equals 6. If I want to get X by itself, what do I need to do next?
Divided tan 40.
Divide by
on both
tangent of
sides.
40, right?
Yeah.
Wait, what? Wait,
6 divided by tan 40.
Okay. So I want to get the X by itself, right?
Yeah.
But the only thing I can do is multiply by X on both sides. After I do that, I get X times tan 40 equals 6. How do I get rid of a times tan 40?
Times tan 40.
What's the opposite of times anything?
Divide.
So we divided by tan 40, right? Divide by tan 40, they cancel out, and I get X equals 6 divided by tan 40. What's the difference between this first one where I started and this last one that I just ended at?
The X moved to the other side, and the
And?
40 took its place.
Yeah. So our shortcut is whenever X is on the bottom,
You switch it with the tan 40.
you flip the opposite side around. You flip them around, so they flip flop.
That's it.
Do you just
That's it.
leave it? You just leave it. Like you don't answer.
So
you just
whenever
leave
X
it.
is
No,
at the
we're gonna
bottom.
calculate.
Oh, cause it's
Yeah.
a, cause
Yeah, we
it's
just flop
a, it's a negative.
No, flip flop.
It's a negative.
Flip it flop it.
It's a negative.
Flip it, flip it.
I don't know.
It's a negative
You gotta plug it in.
5.37. I did. See? It's a negative. So you messed up
Actually,
again.
wait, no, actually,
Go ahead.
hang on.
Go ahead.
Maybe I messed up with
Good.
teaching this.
Maybe it's just like
I got a negative
Oh
5.37.
gosh, dang it. Darn you, Desmos. I wasn't wrong. But I'm also kind of wrong. Alright, we hadn't talked about this. Alright, what is that? Alright, I know what happened now. I know what happened. What is this 40 right here?
A 40.
An angle.
An angle.
It's degrees, right?
Yeah.
Okay. If I look at Desmos and I click on my settings, what is clicked on?
Radius.
Radians. Have we ever
so
talked about
we put the-
radians?
Oh no, we put degrees.
No.
Okay.
So,
So,
I don't
okay.
really talk about these right now. So there's two ways. You can say degrees or you can say radians. and I forgot to change it to degrees.
How do you do that? What'd you do?
You click on the settings on the top right, you just click degrees.
That tool thing.
A tool. What a tool.
It's like three
So-
totally different.
Yeah, so your answers changed. They're actually the same. They're different units. It's kind of like saying, if you have 12 inches and you have 1 foot, it's really the same thing, right? But you write it completely differently. One has 12, the other's 1. They're really the same. It's the same idea. We're not going to use radians. We're going to use degrees. So that was my bad. Make sure you change this to degrees. No, keep them, because they're not wrong. They're just in radians and not degrees. But from now on, make sure you are in degrees. And if I don't check when I do these, say something so I make sure I check. So we're going to keep our answers. We're going to keep our answers from now on until this point right here. Okay.
Do you remember cake and compass?
Oh, that equals
7.15.
yeah, 7.5.
Alright.
Well, 7.2
So,
if we
the-
round it up.
6 divided by tan 40, just plug it straight into Desmos. 6 divided by, you get your tan 40, and 7.15?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
one, oh,
7.15.
Or 2.
Alright, so your answers, so as you do these, if you get different answers, you always need to double check and make sure you are in degrees and not radians.
Let's do Y now.
Yep, we're going to do Y now.
Cool.
Alright. So one more before
So-
you guys try one.
SOH.
So on Y is my hypotenuse.
So-
Hypotenuse.
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 It's been a long day. Alright, Y is my hypotenuse. Which side has a number on it that we want to use?
6.
Yep. Which is?
Opposite.
What uses hypotenuse and opposite?
SOH.
Yep,
Sin
the sign.
of hill.
So I'm going to go,
Chill, bro.
sine of 40 is going to equal my opposite, which is 6, over hypotenuse, which is Y.
No, go.
And now that we did this, what's my shortcut going to be?
Tiny Y. Make the
Switch
same thing,
them.
switch
Yep,
them
I'm going to do a
again.
little flip-flop. So I'm going to use my shortcut and flip-flop these around. And go Y equals 6 divided by sine of 40. And we can plug that straight into Desmos. 6 divided by sine 40. Just as is.
9.33.
You change yours to the-
4.
Did you change it to degrees?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
9.33? Done. Okay, cool.
And we get 9.33. Not super tough.
Oh, it's not. Can you do that?
Which one? No, because it's like 0.334. That's why. Calm down, Mark.
No, that's
Calm
what
down.
the opposite.
Wait, what's
Alright.
the answer? 9.3. Okay,
Yep.
just make sure.
Alright, your guys' turn to try one, I believe.
Yeah.
Make sure everybody got this down though.
Sure. Yeah.
I'll trust you, Lark. But if you're lying to me. Alright, let's start by finding x. And let me help you guys get set up. If we're going to look at this, what is x? What is side x?
Hypotenuse.
Okay, what's 8?
Opposite.
Yep. Make sure, because our 25 degrees is over in a different spot than normal. So my
True.
opposite is 8, when that used to be adjacent down there, but not anymore. And my adjacent is now y. So I want you to start by finding x.
Right on this side. Is that how I say it?
Solve what I want. It's lame. Oh. Okay, so we want to find x, right? Which is hypotenuse. Which side has a number? What uses opposite and hypotenuse?
So.
Mm-hmm. So you do the so.
Doesn't it turn into a 3?
Huh?
Doesn't it turn into a 3?
What?
Not 2. Doesn't that turn into a 3?
What comes after it?
A 9?
Yeah.
9.929?
Yep, I would
Okay.
bump it up.
Okay.
Wait,
Did you get right?
18.93?
Anyway. Opposite over hypotenuse.
Oh, so it'd be over it.
Yeah.
What? Huh?
Yep.
Okay, finally I've got it. Why did I put this?
You got it.
Did I do it right so far? Or no?
And then the next
Other way
one's on
around,
top of
opposite,
10.
over hypotenuse.
10, yeah.
So put the 8 on top, X on the bottom. And then you're gonna have to do the flip flop. The flop.
And if you're done, you can find y real quick too while people are waiting.
Oh, we were supposed to find X first?
Is it the same thing, right?
Well, yeah, you can find them both.
What, no? 17.15.
Yeah, just find X real quick then.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
I just have to
Wait, is this right? Go
Right here.
No, you're, the ones around your necks. I thought it was hidden back there.
Oh, okay.
Oh gosh.
Is this right? 18.9.
Are you assuming things?
17.16.
I mean,
1.6.
1.5.
Make sure, did you make sure it was in degrees?
No way,
Uh-huh.
maybe 1.6.
Good. Yep.
Cookie. Cookie.
1.6.
When did it turn into 1.6 or keep it as 1.5?
It's
With that 6.
18 point.
Yeah, it would bump up to 1.6.
Oh, no, this is sin.
Wait.
Now I understand.
18.9. No!
Remember, if your numbers seem way off, make sure you are in degrees and not radians. Don't make my mistake.
Okay, this is what it goes.
So my original triangle was actually right. It was just in radians. Hmm.
Okay.
Uh,
After the lesson, I didn't do
after the lesson, I think there's people in front of you, but I don't remember. But we'll see.
Okay, this is what I got, but this is not for me.
Alright, so Lark, how do we set it up? Set it up for us.
I'll go to 8 equals 8 over X. I said I'll go quick.
7.25.
Set of 25
Oh, yeah.
equals
Yeah.
8 over
So
X.
now,
Yep, yep, you're right. Okay,
Exit
so if we're gonna go through and solve it, what do I do,
is,
Kylie?
X the same
Yeah.
as Y.
Yep. X is gonna equal
Y,
8
I don't
over
find Y yet.
sine of 25. And if we're going to go from there, when I plug it in, what do I get, Ryan?
You're to get 18.19.
What?
Alright, you guys want to find y? You feeling okay about this?
I got it. Down.
I guess find y since people are still working. I was gonna give you the option, but nobody's saying anything. So Krista.
What? I got what?
Well, I'm doing exit ticket.
Oh, I said, you guys want to find y? Are you feeling good about this?
Actually, wait, what was the
I feel
answer
good
to
about it.
X?
18.93.
Okay, yeah, I'm feeling good.
Just give up.
I got this. Because I'm about to like pee my pants. I'm not even joking. Like, I
Alright,
seriously have
well,
so bad.
let's skip to the exit ticket. If you're not feeling good about it, I'll help you out. Alright, so starting your exit ticket if you haven't yet.
Wow.
Let me turn on Socrative real
Wow, the
quick.
exit ticket is exactly what we just did.
Really?
Exactly what we just did.
Really?
Yes.
No, it's not.
Yeah. The
no,
is like
no.
the same.
It's X and Y.
25
though.
No,
Yeah,
it's
just
different.
the opposite. The only thing that's opposite is
It's
switch
close,
though.
but it's not quite.
It's like
Because
pretty much,
exact same thing.
pretty much almost the exact same.
almost.
You said exact. It's not exact.
Shut up! I suck at my
It's
English.
No.
Shut up.
Alright,
Shut
do
up.
your work.
I'm stupid. Shut up.
You're not stupid.
Yes.
You're hyper.
Thank you, like, for saying yes. She's right.
Y'all need to chill. Ryan needs to chill.
Yesterday we were talking about how men are superior.
No.
No.
Shh.
No.
No.
We're not
just
gonna do
get
that
quiet.
again.
Wait,